There you go.
Welcome to our Game 4 recap of the Maple Leafs Florida Panthers series. So, those aren't smiles on your faces. I thought that you guys would be a little bit happier, but I guess you guys are still in the same boat, still facing elimination.
Job not done. Job not finished.
For both teams, actually, Dave,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
but we're getting
Um,
there. What are immediate reactions, guys? How are you guys feeling?
I gotta stick to what I said last time. I said if they win game four, I have to have like zero difference whatsoever. So zero difference. Like you're down 3-1. This is still a blown opportunity until you show more. It's still a goddamn hole that you dug yourself in. You can dig yourself out of it, but like the difference from 3-0 and 3-1, I don't know, what is it? 5 centimeters in the hole? Maybe once you get that 3-2, that's like a couple feet. Like you can maybe even start to see sunlight. So not there yet, but you gotta celebrate any type of win we can get, right? It's been a while.
yeah. I mean, realistically, at the end of the day, getting it to 3-1 is a big moral victory. You erase that goose egg from the record, which is fine. I get it. You don't get swept. Like that's probably the most embarrassing thing as a professional sports franchise, like getting swept in any round of a playoff is probably the most embarrassing thing you can go through. Um so erasing that is especially when you're the home team and the favorite, like you lost the first two games of this series, like you lost home ice advantage almost immediately, right? Like you lose the first game, there goes your home ice advantage. So that's probably even more embarrassing, I guess I would say. But I guess, getting off the snide now, with your first win in the second round since I was 4 years old, since we were 4 years old. So that's, I guess, a moral victory for you, for them. But at the end of the
Oh, well.
day, as a Leaf fan, as a fan who's watched this first team for, I don't know, 20 years, like, hooray, congrats.
We were the last team to win a second round game, like in the post lockout salary cap era. We were the final team to do it. Mind you, know what I'm thinking about it. Did Seattle play before us? Because maybe we beat out Seattle. You know, the second year team. We might have beat them out. I can't remember if they played night one or night two of round two.
Aren't
It's,
aren't they up like 2-1 on the series?
They are. I'm just trying to, for the stupid technicality of the Leafs being the last team to win a game in the second round. I
Oh, they
can't
have to
remember.
be. They have to be
Yeah.
because they won like their first game of their first game in the second round, their first
Oh yeah.
time
What
of
am I
yes, they
asking.
saying?
did.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. You're so right. Yeah.
Yeah.
What am I saying for real? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
we were
like we
last.
had to
We
wait.
suck.
We had we had to hold it over our heads for an extra they held
Yeah.
it over our heads for an extra 3 games basically.
Yes. Yes.
Um but I mean, listen, I guess we could just jump right into the game. Like it I would say honestly that was like across the board a good team effort. I think that was probably one of the better team efforts that they've put in. I'm not gonna go out on a limb and say it was the best. Because I
I
don't even
think
know
Keith
if
said
that
that by
was
the way. Eh?
yeah, I
Keith.
mean Keith
I
could say whatever
I
you
don't.
want. It just to motivate the guys a little bit.
Yes.
I won't go as far to say that was the best team effort because I don't
Me
even
neither.
think we've seen their best team effort. Uh
No.
like I think what they could do personally, maybe I'm being naive here, but I think that they could like easily walk any team still like remaining in the playoffs. Like I guess I'm being naive because they got themselves in a 3-0 hole, but they found their ways to win. But
So,
I think with all the talent on the team, like they shouldn't have even been in this type of hole to start out with. I guess I'm being naive.
so last week, I think Christian mentioned the gentleman sweep. So it's like you go up 3-0, then you let them win one game for the home fans, and then you close them out in front of your fans. Can we say that this is like an indecent sweep? Because
Yeah. I was gonna. What's the opposite of a gentleman?
like
Yeah, you're
I don't
doing it in
know,
front
a
of no away
non-mannered,
fans.
indecent person. I don't know, but okay, I'll trademark that indecent sweep. So they took two games from you at home, then they won one at home for their fans, and then then you guys took one in their building in front of your
I mean,
fans
hey, there
too,
was some. Yeah, exactly. There was some of our friends there too. So maybe it's like a pseudo gentleman sweep. I don't know.
and then obviously like they're looking to close it out in game 5 in your building. Are you guys like any confident, just a little bit more confident? Because I think you guys played well. I only watched the third period, but you guys weren't awful.
So I don't think the Leafs played well as much as the Panthers didn't. I think this was by far the Panthers' worst game, obviously because they lost. But we saw way more from them in the first three games. We didn't really see much, specifically in terms of offense. Now, is that because the Florida Panthers just sucked on offense, or maybe the Leafs were doing something to stifle them defensively? A bit of column A, column B, maybe. So that's kind of where I'm at. Confidence wise, do we take anything from that game? I mean, outside of the fact that you do look at the series now and you see 3-1, and the Florida Panthers are very aware of what a 3-1 series looks like. They just were in one. Um, the Leafs were in a 3-1 series and they know what it's like to lose that fifth game, right? They know what that pressure feels like. So both teams have a astute awareness of what a 3-1 series lead looks like. So that's maybe the only confidence I take from it is Panthers were in that hole. We're in that hole now. So you got to build something off of that, I guess.
And last week, sorry, not last week, like 3 days ago, all the eyes are on the Stars, your big four. Two of the big four, I think two of the big four got points.
Yep.
And
They
both
got
which
goals.
two of which scored. Yeah, they got goals. Do you think that they're kind of rewriting their wrongs now? Do you guys see that happening, or are they still in the
Well,
like
I
in
mean,
the hot
listen,
seat?
that would be they're still in the hot seat, but the only way for them to rewrite the wrongs is to I wouldn't even say taking it to like you have to win the series now at this point. I don't even think getting it to 7 as much of a Herculean task as that would be. Like winning 3, you literally have to be legitimately perfect to even take it to 7. Um I think even that wouldn't even be because that would still bring up the old game 7
Yeah.
narratives, right?
I was
Like
gonna say you'd probably be better off if it leaves losing in game 6 versus game 7. That would give you maybe a slightly higher chance of running it back. If you
yeah.
lose in game 7 with the team, it's like okay,
It's
yeah,
like it's
no,
like it's like yeah,
it's like
they
getting swept.
yeah, basically. It's like, well, you brought like you brought it back from the brink, but then again, when it mattered the most in the series, even though all the other games have the exact same amount of meaning, I guess I would say, because all 3 times or all 4 times your backs are up against the wall. But when it mattered the mostest, I guess we could say, you can't get it done. But even then, we're still like, that's still 3 games from now, basically, right? Like we're looking at, I guess, the positives from game 1. And they when the big boys had to step up, they stepped up, right? Maybe it wasn't as flashy as they might have made it seem before, because we know the 4 guys. Those guys score goals in bunches. I'm talking about Matthews. I'm talking about Marner. I'm talking about Nylander. I'm talking about JT. But this was a tight affair last night. And it's not like they didn't have their chances. They did. They had quite a few chances, but for better or for worse, they got the edge on Bobrovsky, but it looked like for large parts of that game that Sergey was, he was holding his own again, man. Like he's on the case. He's the lead detective. The guy is searching for all the clues and he's found the answers to most of the clues. But last night it looked like those core fours, the core four, they got some
They
answers
smudge the
back,
evidence.
basically, right? Yeah, they hit a little bit of that evidence. But yeah, to
If you
answer
just had to individually go through like if you want to do grades for the core 4 guys, like who's number 1 from last night? I
from
think
last night, I think it's by far and away it's Mitch.
for me it's Willie last night.
Okay, fair
And
enough.
even
I
if he didn't score,
yeah,
I thought he was absolutely flying, and I even thought
100%.
I thought he was like skating with a purpose defensively. He never got stuck in his own zone defensively, and I don't think that's like because he was doing crazy stuff, but for whatever reason, we were able to break it out. We weren't stuck in our zone, and when that doesn't happen, Willie can use basically 90% of his energy on his shift for doing Willie things because we know
Mhm.
defense is not a Willie thing. So maybe that's why I thought he was so great. He never had to play defense, but I thought he was absolutely flying last night. Mitch too, though. You
Okay.
gotta give him credit. What's your
So
argument for Mitch?
okay, so I guess we could agree. Maybe we could flip flop between Mitch and Willie. Like I don't think that there's so much of a sizable gap between the two of them from last night, at least. where you could say like, oh, this one he was verifiably better. And the point I'll give to you is that Mitch Marner all season, listen, I ragged on Mitch Marner, especially after last game, but Mitch Marner is, I would say, hands down taxed with the most pressure. I would say he's doing it in all in on 5-on-5 on the power play and on the penalty kill. No, I don't think any other player on the team does all three, and does all three of those with a great I don't even know how I would say,
Does it
like,
as well, and even like in a large
yeah,
quantity, right? Like
in
I think
large
the other guy would
quantity.
be
Yes,
O'Reilly, but we,
maybe.
we lean
Yeah.
on Marner way more than O'Reilly just on
Mm-hmm.
virtue of he's been here for much longer, right? So
100%. And
100%.
it's what he's done for years now, right? Now, when Mitch has a noticeably off game like he did in game 3, and I would say like he soared, like he was kind of falling to the wayside ever since it was kind of like midway through the Tampa series. He wasn't an ever-escent presence on the team, even though he was still great. He was still
He's racking
good
up
to
points too.
great. Yeah.
Yeah,
But he was never that, like, he was never the he didn't have, it didn't look like he had the killer instinct, I would say,
not
for
offensively, no.
not offensively. Defensively, I mean, defensively, you know what you're gonna get from Mitch. Like if he has a
Yeah,
noticeably bad defensive game, you'll notice. And I don't think he's had a noticeably bad defensive game all playoffs. Um, it's also not something you could really say on Mitch either. Like I don't even, like, off the top of my head, I can't even count, maybe on one hand where he's had brutal defensive games, maybe, right? Which
yeah.
is a
His brutal
testament.
games are like where it's like a game-changing giveaway, or it's just
Yeah.
like an overthinking a pass that leads to a rush
Yeah.
back the other way, stuff like that.
100%. Yeah.
Kind of
Which
like
he's
the
had.
Justin Hall bad game, yeah, which he's had. But I think I totally like he was definitely a contributor defensively, and he scored.
Yeah.
And that's what we ask of Mitch, right? And there was the super stat that I saw flown around the past couple of days of the fact that that was his first goal in a series past the second game.
Yeah.
That's his like, and that's in what, 8 series?
Eight series, eight
So
years, 7 years.
listen, yeah, that's it's good to see. We'll say that it's good to see that he got on the board finally,
Well,
and it was
it's
a patented Mitch goal.
hopefully it's a step in the right direction. Now, that is, I think, the overall theme of this game is making baby step progress. Because at the end of the day, we weren't gonna win this series by winning last
Just
night.
last night, yeah.
You need another 3 more complete efforts like that. But on the flip side is, if you have a bad showing, you're out until October. You're done, right? This could have been the last game for them. So on that note, I would say for the most part, I would give A's to both Willie and Mitch. I wouldn't tier them off into like an A plus, A minus type of tier. I would say A. You know what I mean? There stuff that both of them could have done better? 100%.
Okay,
Did
that's the
either,
right wingers. Or sorry, finish your point.
sorry, and is that did they have a like, I wouldn't even go as far to say like, did they have a good enough game to exceed that A? I don't think so. I just think that they needed to play like themselves, and that was a good start, which
It's a
I
good way to
don't
put it.
think, I like game 3, I think is the highlight. Like that's going to be the one that we go back to. Games 1 and game 2, games 1 and 2, they were like actually pretty good. I
Pretty
think
good.
that they were
Yeah,
pretty good. You know,
so many chances, and just Bobrovsky was coming up large, right?
exactly. Apart
All that
from,
was away in game 3.
Let's
apart from some chances, like apart from, whatever, they were pretty good. Now, what would we say on the other two in that?
I think Austin honestly might have been the worst of the big four. Not because like he did anything like terribly defensively or even offensively. Well, I don't know. I didn't really notice him too much on offense, to be
I think
honest. I
I
can't
think
remember like
that
an
is
Austin chance, right?
I think that's the biggest like sign, like that's the telltale sign. If you don't notice one of them in the game, they most likely had no impact on the game. That's why we get frustrated sometimes, because we know that they every
Yeah.
single game, every single shift, they have the chance to always change that narrative. But for long periods of time, and like in the past, that's been the problem. They kind of ghost on us.
I will say though, like Austin, 2 games in a row, no showed. Like, I don't think we're gonna get that for 3 games in a row, right?
Yeah.
Like out of
Well,
the four,
I would
he's the one
hope.
that you trust the most for a bounce back. Yes, I would hope
Mhm.
too. But he's the one where I'm like, okay, he'll sort himself out. This isn't gonna last forever. JT, I thought actually had a pretty good game. I thought he had a lot of chances. He cannot bury them on his breakaways slash
No.
semi breakaways on Bobrovsky. But I
Bob's
like
got
the
him.
chances he did have.
Bob has him locked down.
He's like
Bob
two
has
steps ahead of JT.
him and Matthews. He has both of their numbers. I think even Matthews
Yeah.
had one last game. I don't know if I forget if Bob saved it or if it was just a block in front, but I think it's eating at both of them to just
Yeah.
get off the snide and get their cookies basically.
Okay. Do you want to talk about how we got to the end of this game? How we got to a 3-1 series here?
Yeah, I mean
Let's run
that
through it.
that first I think we could just I personally I don't have any notes on the first. Like that first
It was
it just clutch and grab. Everybody was clutching their sticks for dear
shots must have
life.
been like 6-5 or 7-5 because there was the
If
power
it
play for the Panthers at the end. That was really the only reason.
dude, if you told me the over under shots combined would have been like over on like it would have been 15, I think combined, I would have been like that makes sense. Like I understood coming in. Like I knew we weren't gonna see explosivity. I think that was the plan all along was to go
So
in
does
and
that play
just
into our hands or Panthers' hands? I think
I
ours,
think
right?
that plays into our hands a lot more.
Yeah.
I
That game looked closest to a game from the Tampa series.
yes. And listen, I don't know, do the Panthers have the type of talent and the team structure to play closer to a Tampa series or to play into uh Florida Boston series, right?
This
Like
is this is what we were talking about, right? Because the first 2 games were definitely Florida Panther paced games, and we lost both of them. So we played a Toronto game last night. Panthers didn't look too special in a Toronto type of game, right? So, and it was a slow game. It was like you said, clutch and grab, play at your own pace. We were reversing the puck defensively. We were just dealing with the forecheck pressure, I think, a little bit better. I don't know if it was that the Panthers kind of let up on it. Like I still felt like they forechecked well, but for whatever reason, we were making the right decisions last night. I found.
is it maybe
Was there
like
any?
a lack of panic?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what would be the difference between last night and the 3 past games for because I feel like it was in our hands. You're right. Something
Yeah.
changed. I don't know what it was because it felt like it was our decision to slow the game down. I don't know what it was. I don't know.
Uh,
I just thought Justin
m-
Hall like that was a
Maybe
guy who had a
just
really good game. To be
yeah, yeah,
honest.
he did.
Okay,
I
you know
think it
what? There
was
was the
just
giveaway on the goal, but
yeah. I think it
I
was
gotta
just
look at that one
good
again.
decision making all around. I think
Yes.
that's something that's been
Yeah.
lacking is like I felt like they were more instead of playing one or like in tune with the game, they kind of played 2 steps ahead. I think that's maybe a key here. You have to understand where your man's gonna be. You have to understand where the puck is gonna go, or where you want to send the puck. Basically, you're gonna understand where your man is on the ice when you send the puck. You know, if you're putting it around the boards or whatever. I think that they were really good on the half wall. They were good at 50-50s. I think Florida, especially in game 3, oh my God, they were
We were
brutalizing.
surviving by the end of that game. We were not
Yeah,
thriving.
it was brutal for Leaf 50-50 battles. I think the Leafs
It was like
that probably
2080.
was yeah, that was probably that was a good step in the right direction is getting those
Yeah.
50-50 battles going your way, basically, right? If
It's
you could get those 50-50s turning around, you probably get a
Yeah.
lot more offensive pressure. Like you probably relieve a lot of defensive pressure as well. So
Brian, do you have the box score there? Was there any penalties in the first? Do you guys remember? I know
the only
Brian wasn't
penalty in
watching, but
the only penalty in the first was Justin Hall cross checking Matthew
oh
Kachuk
yeah.
in like
Yeah, that's right. That was
the
the end of
last
the
two
period
minutes.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Second period.
second
Sorry,
period,
Brian.
second period, that's when you get the William Nylander goal on the power play. Michael Bunting gets surprisingly his first assist of the series.
So, Brian,
second
did you
point of the
see
series.
how this penalty came to be, or no? Do you have any idea? Did you see anything about a Bunting penalty, or
Um,
like the penalty was taken on Michael Bunting?
so I know it was high sticking and I know he drew blood,
Yeah.
but they only give it 2, correct? I didn't see the actual high stick
Yes,
though.
you're right. No, that's right though. So I think the conclusion that was come to by the refs is that he caught himself on his visor. So I guess that's kind of why it wasn't a double minor.
Okay, but again, where in the rule books does it say if a player is cut by his own equipment, it's not a double minor? I thought it was drawing blood
Yeah, I have no idea.
regardless, and you're called if you're so one of the
There's
two
a penalty
things.
on the play and there's blood.
Yeah, one of the two
Okay.
things must not have been true on the play. There wasn't a high stick, or he didn't draw blood. Well, he drew blood,
It's fair.
and you called a high stick.
So what else
So,
was it?
so what else? What else happened here,
No,
guys?
you
Come
see, the
on.
visor actually came to life and it
Yeah, and it
smacked Michael
scratched
Bunting
him.
on the nose. Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Listen, what we do know is Michael Bunting got some referee karma. Brian, did you see this goal?
No, I did not.
So this William Nylander goal starts on the half wall after the the second unit for the power play comes out. Michael Bunting throws it at the corner, goes off of a ref's skate, directs right to William Nylander in front of the net, and he throws it on net backhand. He kind of has it, almost has it, bounces off of him into the back of the net. So that's where the Michael
Interesting.
Bunting assist came from. It was also an assist from a referee. I don't know which ref it was. It was one of John McIsaac, Frederick Lecoutier. Yeah, we don't know these guys. So this is good. If I don't know who these guys are, that's awesome. Maybe it was a linesman. I don't know. But hey, look at that. Some reffing karma for Michael Bunting. Good to see. Good to see.
Not
Yeah,
again.
that's gonna be the last. That's gonna be the last type of, you know. I think that's it now. Like I think you could maul Michael Bunting. Like he made them look like fools again on live TV, right? Like he's like on camera. You could see him say like, "How did I get this?" He's pointing to his visor, his nose. He's like, "How did this happen then?" And then that happens, dude. Michael Bunting is not getting a single call for the rest of his, not even for the rest of these playoffs, for the rest of his life. Like it's game over. Sorry, Mike. It was fun. It was fun while it lasted, I guess. But
You know what would be hilarious? I'm trying to think if this is like how many players this has happened to, but how many like former player or how many players become referees? I don't know if it's really that common. Like,
I
what
don't
if
think
like
it would.
Michael Bunting became a referee? Like, how hilarious would that be? I don't think they'd ever let him, but I don't think he wants to. But I'm just trying to think, like, has there ever been a player in the NHL who's kind of a pest, and then all of a sudden he's on the other side? I don't know.
I know the head of player safety.
I was just, oh, damn it,
Yes,
Brian. I
no,
was just about to say.
I know.
But no,
But
not on,
as a
on top of my
ref,
head. As a ref, no, I have nothing.
I think,
who, Dave, who
I
was the
think
guy
maybe it's.
who pushed Bunting? Who
Oh,
was that guy again? I forget his name, but he
it's
played in
not
the
Scott
A.
Foster, right?
No.
Is
It's
that
like
the
Dan
NBA guy?
something. Yeah, Scott Foster's NBA. It's Dan something. I forget his name. But anyways, he played in the
Is it?
AHL. I wonder if he was like a pest, maybe. Like, do you think he was like a point getter? I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know
Actually,
why this kind of just popped in my
I
mind.
feel, I
But
feel like that stuff like that maybe wouldn't. I don't know if it like gets reported about enough. You know what I mean? Like maybe we just
you're
don't
right.
know.
Yeah,
I don't
probably
know.
doesn't matter in the grand scheme of
Let's
things.
let's move into the third.
Was there any other penalties in the second, or because I
The
do feel like penalties was a little bit of a
Barkov on Marner holding, and then Brody high sticking on Lundell.
the Brody high sticking one.
oh yeah, we should talk about
That's
that.
where we should actually jump in just quickly before
Yes,
we get into the third. So Brody gets a holding the stick call right in front of the net. Listen, it's
Booster
at first
scrambled.
look, I was like, like God damn it. What do you like? But the big thing that drew a lot of eyes after the play, though, like so the play was whistled dead, and there was at least a few seconds between the play being whistled dead and David Kemp is in the corner. I believe he was holding. I don't even think
Oh,
he was holding the puck. And Radko
He
Gudas,
might have been.
I'll be honest with you. I don't even think he had the puck like
Okay.
on his stick. Like I don't think the puck was anywhere near.
He definitely wasn't skating full speed anymore because he obviously heard the whistle. He totally let
Yeah.
up, right?
Well, you
So
have to know that the clock is winding down. Like you know that there's less than 10 seconds in the period. You know what I mean? You hear the whistle. And so on second look, Radko Gudas changes direction of where I think he was going towards the net for a second. Then he changed direction of where he was going, took at least 5 strides, and just went full speed right into the side back of David Kampf. Like it was
Like a
close to
goddamn
numbers.
rhinoceros, man.
Yeah.
Oh my
It was
god.
close to numbers. And it's just funny how out of all of that, so like a million ensues, and out of all of that, only TJ Brody gets called for the holding the stick, and like that's it. It's like nothing ever happened, like nothing happened after the whistle. No, everybody forget what you saw, nothing happened. And it's just
Well,
I am mad that nobody talked to Gudis though. I'm still kind of cheesed
you
about
want
that.
to pull
He
that beard a
absolutely
little bit.
slammed Camp.
Yeah.
Camp's on the floor looking like his life flashed before his eyes. I don't know if it was just because he was like crapping his pants or because like these are two Czech guys, right? Radko Gudis is a Czech guy. David Camp also Czech. He was looking at him like, I thought we were bros, man. I thought we were bros, and just destroyed him. I don't remember who else was out there, but somebody freaking
It could have
talked to
been anybody.
Radko.
It could have
I
been
guess
literally anybody.
I'm trying to think like
but
I guess
but
the
we
only
You
guy
know
can't.
who you
how
would trust doing that is
you
Shannon
know how I
McCabe. I feel like
know
those are the
it
only
could have
two.
you know how I know it could have been anybody to do that? And I think we could also maybe use this example later on for the end of the game. But last night, Leon Draisaitl got his hand mauled by Alex Petrangelo. Do you know who the first person to come in to fight Alex Petrangelo was? Connor fucking McDavid. Connor McDavid, the guy who put up 155 points this year, the guy who broke records all year, 65 goals in the regular season. That guy.
Heard of him?
That guy came in. The face of the league came in and stepped up to his boys' defense. You know who didn't come in to David Camp's defense?
Anybody.
Nobody.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Does it yet? The whole team.
Ugh.
Yeah. I didn't like seeing that to be honest, because I thought David Camp was once again having a David Camp
A very
playoff
good
game.
game.
Right? This is two
having
games in a row now.
Yeah, man.
And he did leave I believe midway through the second, but thankfully he came back.
He
Yeah,
did
he
come
did.
back. Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
God, thankfully, right? Because plays like that, that's a real toss up. Like stuff like that, it could go either way. We saw, I'm not
It was
gonna
late.
I'm not gonna compare the two, but like we saw different plays throughout the first round and even at the start
The
of the
McCarr
second
one
round.
is the one that comes to mind.
Kale
That's the most
McCarr
similar
on Jared
play,
McCann.
right?
Exactly, dude. And Jared
Yeah.
McCann, I still think has been out of the lineup
Yeah.
since that. And that was like game 4, game 5 against like of that series between Colorado and Seattle in the first round. So that's coming up on 2 weeks now that Jared McCann's been out of the lineup. And it's just stuff like that where it makes the league look less than professional. It looks like
How do you explain? Let's say you're watching a hockey game with someone who doesn't watch hockey, and they're like, "How are they not getting a penalty for that or something?" What do you
like,
say?
yeah, what is the penalty? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you differentiate between the calls?
Question.
Like, this guy was holding a
Right?
stick and he got called, and the other guy got
The other guy-
literally like trucked over after the whistle had gone.
Some more WrestleMania content.
Yeah, it's just
No
brutal.
bounties though. No bounty. Yeah. I'm just trying to think. Like, I don't know how I would explain what happened there to someone who doesn't watch hockey.
Well, I'll
I
tell you
don't know.
one thing, like how like I know the NHL's goal, expanding into these different markets, Vegas, Seattle. I know they're looking at going back into Atlanta, going to Houston, maybe. How do you draw in fans of like from other sports leagues when your own fans don't even understand what the hell is going on anymore? It's
Yeah.
just
But
Like, I feel like the NBA, you can just pick it up and you can get an easy grasp of it. Definitely easier to explain to someone. This reminds me of like F1, Brian. How many like dumb rules are there in F1 and stuff? So many
They
things
make
that we don't find about until after the
they
event.
make them up
Like,
on the spot.
yes, exactly. And the NHL, like it goes closer to that than it does like NBA. Was there any penalties before the Mitchie goal in the third?
There was not one.
Okay.
There's a penalty after Alexander Kerfoot tripped Mark Stahl.
Yeah.
But then,
yeah.
at the end of the game, that's when all the penalties are called after the game ended. But
Yeah.
that's irrelevant because,
So the Mitchie goal.
The NHL makes it irrelevant, but that's a different story.
like,
I'm
that's
watching
true.
it again here, the Mitchie goal in real time. So he's behind the net. Okay. It's McCabe with the assist. I didn't even realize that. And then Mitchie just kind of throws it on. It
Is that
didn't hit
his
anything
first
at all.
point?
I think
Ryan
it's his first
O'Reilly
point.
had Ryan O'Reilly had the famous Daryl Boyce assist where he was just screening, like it was just a beautiful screen from Ryan O'Reilly on that play,
Yeah.
especially. That looked eerily, not eerily similar, but like, Mitch Marner's opener, I believe it was game
Game
2
2, right?
against Tampa, where he takes like a little
Yes.
half slap from the point and it goes through traffic. I believe that one, no, that was his goal, so
Yeah.
couldn't have hit
Same
anybody,
thing,
but it
man. It's a good
deflected
comparison.
off of maybe an ass or two. But that's stuff that you need that type of stuff to go in. If it's not going in with clean looks, you need to get a little bit rough and tumble in front of the net in order for them to go in. You got to make your own luck, right? Like
This was like the
that's
Verhaeghe goal last game, the one off of a butt, bounces off the ice,
exactly
all this stuff, right? You just gotta
exactly.
score those. You gotta score those.
And
Yeah,
thank
the
God he
Kerfoot
did.
call. Yeah,
Oh,
thank God he did. 2-0 lead. How did you feel with the 2-0 lead, Dave? Did you feel it was wrapped up? Did we have no emotions because
I
it's
won't
still a
lie to
3-0
you.
hole?
I did feel it was wrapped up.
I did too.
I think even with like a goal, which they ended up getting, I said to myself, even if they score, I don't think Florida has enough tonight to keep it going.
Yeah,
And a
yeah.
huge credit to that goes to my boy, outstanding last night, the brick wall himself.
I know we haven't even talked about him, eh?
Ah, man, from being the fourth string goalie in many people's eyes,
Dave called this man.
I will vehemently argue with anybody to say that he was our third stringer. I know Shalgren had more NHL experience in the past than Wall. I believe that was the decision. Joseph Wall is the real deal. He's
in a good game.
he was thrown into the fire last game and thrown back into the fire again this game, with his team on the edge of being knocked out of the playoffs. And it's not just any team, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. Win or lose, there's eyes on them regardless. And he took all of the whatever negative energy that was in the air from Leaf fans alike and the Leaf media alike, and he just channeled it and had a calm, cool, and composed game. And I love to see that. So shout out to Joseph Wall.
I think calm, cool, and composed. Definitely the right words to describe it. Like we said, like I don't think Florida showed us their A game. So definitely want to give credit to Wall because he made the saves he had to, and they were, like you said, very tidy. Not a lot of rebounds at all. Felt like a magnet on his chest. Everything was right to the crest, gulping everything up. It's a great start for him. Great first playoff start. Really easy to build momentum and confidence off of. I do want to see what it looks like when he's challenged a bit more, when we got to lean on him a bit more, because I do think the defense was extra aware of the fact they had a rookie in net last night, and sometimes that's okay. It's no problem with that whatsoever, to be honest. But yeah, definitely a good game. If there's one thing like I'd have to point out from what I've seen early in Joe Wall's career that I'm just like, I don't know if I like that or not. It seems like breakaways he's susceptible to. Because I remember there was even one late in the season. There was one when he came in relief in the Tampa series, and there was the one last game. Now, a breakaway is a breakaway. Like it's not like goalies are supposed to stop every single one of them. It's just something I've noted in my mind, and maybe I'm looking for it now. That's the only thing. And I think Duclair had like a partial breakaway last night, and he did pretty well on it. So
So
far so good. No complaints.
one guy I just wanted to shout out as well with the greatest diving poke check I've ever seen in my life, Luke Shen
Oh
on Carter Verhaeghe.
yes.
Saved your season right there. I think that if that goes in, you guys might collapse, and then that's the game. But
Yeah,
Luke
you're probably
Shen,
right.
Luke Shen
I
gets
think you're right.
Passion commander, man.
he
Oh
dives
man.
for the puck, and Carter Verhaeghe knows that he can just wait out the rookie goalie. That's what I could. You can see it the way he was just cutting in slowly, slowly. But then obviously puck's cleared and everything's fine and everything's good after that. But that definitely was an interesting situation. Joseph Wolf did show up big. Do you guys trust him for the rest of the
Yes.
series?
As much as I did Sammy, or definitely more than Murray, like I don't feel
Yeah,
really any different. He might
it's
even
sad
gain
to
more
see.
confidence from me, right?
It
It is pretty
sucks to
sad to
see.
see.
No, it sucks to see a former two-time cut like when you brought in Matt Murray in the offseason, you had the aspirations of him potentially regaining his groove and coming in and
this is the
not
time you
winning it,
brought him in for, right? It
this
was
is
like,
the
okay, we're gonna
exact time
manage
you
Matt
brought him
Murray
in for.
because playoff Matt Murray. What does
Yeah.
playoff Matt Murray look like?
Especially
I don't know.
if he had like you were going in thinking like, okay, even if he has a mediocre season, you hope that he just regains and finds his form in the playoffs in case something like Sammy going down happens, which did happen. But right now, I don't even think like there's not even a shadow of a doubt that Joe Wall is finishing out the rest of the series, barring
Dave,
a catastrophe.
Joe Wall gets injured game 5. Did they put in the e-bug? They just go straight to the e-bug?
Yeah, they just skip over Matt.
Right to
I mean,
Shalgren? Or no, right to Hildeby now we got up?
yeah, it's Dennis Holdeby right now.
Yeah. I kid
Man.
because listen, I mean, if
I
Murray
mean, you
does find
kid.
something at some point, you're curious. You are very curious to see what it looks like, aren't you? I'd be.
Christian, you kid, I'm considering it. I
I
don't
know.
know.
I know.
So what I will say is that there has been a theme of teams that lose their starter and their backup to injuries, but then the backup goalie comes up and he does pretty well. Tristan Yari, Matt Murray himself back on those Pittsburgh years, and a fan favorite minor Braden Holtby. But we just have to see. I think
Yeah.
that Wool is good, and Dave, I'll give you that. You were onto something here,
Dave called that one, yeah.
but you know what? I think that honestly, it's going to be up
Don't
to the
make me
defense.
blush, guys.
It's going to be up to the defense to keep Wool in it against Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky's been good. Last night at
Yes.
920, obviously, technically his worst game
He's only
of
lost,
the series.
right?
But he was pretty good. But
I mean, yeah. He's still going to be very much a problem until he's not. So I don't know. Keep sifting pucks through from the point, Mitchie and Riley, because it feels
Seems
like
to
that's going to
work.
be the game plan. That's the only thing that works. Yeah.
you guys have
We
anything to
want to
say
talk more.
about
Sorry,
the end?
Brian.
You guys have anything to say about the
Uh,
end of the game? Like the
Yeah, just
WrestleMania.
gutless. Just gutless.
what's it
Yeah.
called? And everybody when they put like the
The
30
Royal
guys in the
Rumble.
ring. The
Royal
Rumble.
Rumble.
Yeah.
Battle Royale. It's a
Dude,
battle
but
royal.
it was literally just like it was a dog pile there at the end, man. It was like both teams were celebrating, bro. They just piled up on top of each other.
There were 12
I
penalties
don't really
called
know.
and one game
Wow.
misconduct given
Who
to
got the
congrats.
misconduct?
Sam Bennett.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's the guy who
But
deserved it.
it doesn't
I
doesn't
mean,
mean
at the end of the day, like
yeah.
there was zero
I think the
0.00
highlight,
on the clock. So
yeah, I think the highlight from that was the Kachuk Marner stuff.
yeah,
Junior teammates, they're holding each other.
Memorial
Marner's
Cup
just kind
winners,
of
right?
looking at him. Yeah, Memorial
Memorial
Cup
Cup
winning
winners.
line, possibly one of the best junior lines of all time with Christian Dvorak of all guys
Oh,
in the
baby.
center. But man, like Kachuk was feeding him, feeding Mitch, and Mitch just kind of nothing.
Yeah. He left it
And then
off,
post
right?
game, the post game quote, Dave, do you know it off by heart yet?
I don't give a
Pretty
flying blank.
I don't give a flying. You know what the next word is?
Oh, that's what he's okay. Never mind.
That's literally what he said. I
Oh,
find that
man.
hilarious. That's such a Mitch thing to say. Ah man, but the Leafs don't give enough flying. You know what is because they'll be flying back to Toronto. So
Yeah.
we
Well, it
got at
looks like
least
that.
one more of these.
It looks like that because there was quite a few. I don't give a flying whatever. You know,
And I'll tell you what,
next
Dave.
words.
I'm just gonna cut you off there. We're just gonna go on a
Yeah.
quick break. We'll just be right back.
Okay. So,
Sorry, Dave. Okay, we are back from a little break. Dave, can you just finish your point about I forgot what we were talking about. It's
but
okay.
it's
Dave
funny for you to
remembers.
assume that I remember my point. From literally spoiler alert for anyone who I'm gonna take you guys behind the scenes for a quick second. That was literally like you might have saw the transition within like a split second, but from us and
Real time elapse.
yeah, the real time elapse was legitimately 90 seconds flat. And
I don't remember
even
what we were talking
the
about, but it's
point that I
okay.
was making. It was probably something about I think it was what was I gonna say? It was okay, so the mentality of the Leafs, I think going into this game was, it wasn't just leave it out like all out on the line because I mean that's just a cliche answer. Like it's potentially your last game of the season. So of course you should be leaving it out all on the line. And guys like, Shen and whatever, with that diving block from Shen, that's leaving it all out on the line. There might not be another tomorrow. But I think stuff like that has resonated throughout the team. So that IDGAF, I don't give a blank attitude. It just seems to be permeating. Now, that could be beneficial to the team 100%. And they continue to have that carefree attitude, because it seems like anytime that they have, I wouldn't even say carefree. I think I'm going to choose my words wisely here, because a carefree attitude can bite them in the ass. But it seems like they're taking all the pressure and channeling it back into the game. And I think that could be at least a key ingredient into the recipe for success for this team. What do you think about that, Christian? Or Brian?
I think so.
Doesn't matter.
So
I do think that can definitely help out. Trying to think of how I would describe the mentality they got to have in these next couple games.
it's a good for me. I think it's a good balance between must win. You need to win now. You need to show up, and you can't lose.
Yeah.
When you find it
do you
in
treat
between,
it like a special game, or do you just treat it as any other game? Right.
and you got to find the middle between the two, because if you treat it like any other game, you're gonna get the float skaters, and then if you treat it like,
You
oh, we
grip
can't
sticks
lose,
too hard.
yeah, and then you're just not natural, and then you end up going OT or whatever, and then you end up losing. But
I think they played with a good purpose last night. I think, like we said, that was closer to the Toronto Maple Leafs Tampa Bay Lightning series than it was the Florida Panthers past series. So I think that's the key there. So maybe we just need to see some more boring hockey, and that'll play into our hands.
at
Um,
least the bare minimum is that they recognize that they are on the hot seat. Every single
I
person,
think they
organizationally,
do.
top to bottom, everybody knows that someone's job that they know, like somebody that they see every single day's job's at risk.
Yeah.
I think the people who know it the most too are the guys here on 1 year deals, like specifically guys that we brought in, like Nola Chari, Ryan O'Reilly, Luke Shen. They're on a timer, right? This is like, I was brought in for this purpose. I'm not going down without a fight, and they're dragging guys into the fight with them. And I think for a lot of the supporting cast, they have to look at this and be like, as much as we're fighting for our jobs, we are fighting for Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, John Tavares. Like, they are the guys who will take the fall. All these supporting cast players can leave and go on and play out the rest of their NHL career. Those guys, they can go anywhere, and they will always have this black mark on them. So I do think the supporting guys, they have to rally around the fact that we gotta be here for those guys. And I think we'll see that. I think we saw some of that last night. The Luke Shen play specifically. I like to just run through the time on ice things. I find these always kind of interesting.
I
Any
already know
guesses,
where you're going
Dave?
with this.
Okay, there's multiple. There's multiple.
Okay. Who are you going to
Um,
start out with?
let's go. Let's start with forward, because I think defense is the
Okay.
one that we already know. Let's go with forward. Do you know who the forward who had the least time on ice was?
Oh, the least. I was going to say, if you're going to say the most, it's definitely Mitch, because that guy was
Mitch had the
legitimately out
most.
there
Yeah.
for like 27. I think he legitimately had 27 minutes.
He had 21 minutes,
That's
but
wild, because
six of them, just under
6
six
on
minutes
special
was
teams.
special teams.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
I could
So
have sworn he was out. It literally felt like every other shift, it was like number 16 was back out there. So least I want to say,
this is including injuries and everything, because
is it
Achari
Cali
left.
Yarncroke?
No. Let me make sure. Yeah,
Because
no.
I think Cali Yarncroke has been fairly disappointing this
He's
playoff
Quiet.
no,
series. I don't even
been
think
very quiet.
it's quiet, Brian. I think he's been bad. I think
I
he's
see.
been
I just I don't like. He's not supposed to be on the
yeah.
first line. Like, he's not
No, he's
supposed to
not.
be there. But
He should be on
he's
the
a 20
third
goal
line.
scorer with
Yeah.
1 goal in the game. So listen, I was the defender last time we had the Cali Yarncroke referendum. I'm definitely like having to inch closer to the wall to jump to the other side,
Yeah.
because, like, listen, there
You're
hasn't
looking
even
up,
been a flash.
you're like, wow, that is a high wall, but it is
Yeah.
scalable. I can get
Yes.
over it, because
And if I peek through a hole in the wall, there's a lot of
yeah,
people on the other side, and I look
yeah.
behind me, and it's kind of quiet.
It's you, and like I don't even know. It was me. Like, dude, I
Maybe
was
not even Cali Yarncroke's on that side of the wall,
yeah.
man. He might even be on.
He's already up there. He's climbing up the wall.
He's already like, God damn it, I'm not playing well.
But
But
you
what's the key here? I don't know.
you brought up having a good supporting cast around those guys, like, they're they're going to take the fall regardless, win or lose. And I'll lump Morgan Riley in there as well. They're taking the fall regardless. But I think guys like Yarn Croak, Michael Bunting had a better, actually I'd say a pretty good game. But you need those two in particular. If they're going to be on your top two lines, you need them to be on their A+ game every
especially
game.
without Knives.
Yeah,
Right?
especially without Knives.
Yeah,
Big
Especially
loss.
because if
huge.
they even have like their A game probably won't even cut it anymore. I think with the type of players that you're playing alongside, you need to have A+ games every single time you step on the ice. And I know that that's not attainable. And I'm not saying it is because I'm not on the ice. I'm not on the team, but that's what you need to have, unfortunately.
Would you maybe consider Yarn Crow on the fourth line and putting one of I'm just trying to think who are other right-handed. Well, he doesn't even have to be a righty because he plays left wing. I was gonna say maybe Noel Achari, but I like Noel Achari and Ryan O'Reilly, so I don't really know if that makes the
The
most
one
sense.
problem with both O'Reilly and Achari for me are their foot speed, their lack of
Yes,
foot speed.
yes.
I think we've seen guys, like the bigger, slower footed guys who go up onto, especially with like if it's Mitch and Austin on the first line, Nick Ritchie, I will
Jumbo
unfairly,
Joe.
yeah, Jumbo Joe. Oh my god, I forgot that was.
It
Ugh,
feels like forever ago.
God.
It sucks they never played in front of fans. Okay, I don't want to get a sidetrack. But yeah,
But
I do
yeah,
get what you're saying. You want someone who can
those
keep up with them
you do.
physically and mentally.
Yeah, and Yarn Croak is able to do that, and so is Michael
Yeah.
Bunting, and so was Matthew Nyes, and that was a big appeal for Matthew Nyes. The one reason why he was doing so well was that he just kept his feet moving. That
And
guy
people said the
never
knock on
stopped.
him is skating, but like it's like maybe his stride isn't pretty and maybe he could be more
Yeah,
efficient. But
His
just in
positioning is
terms of
fantastic.
pace, like he's fine. So this is something I want to bring up. Like a lot of people are saying about like JT, like he looks so damn slow in this series. I feel like what makes JT so slow is his pathing, like how he chooses to navigate the ice. He's got to know that he's the slowest guy on the ice and pick his battles wisely. Too many times I see him as the forechecker trying to apply pressure, and like he'll chase a guy not even behind the net, but he'll just try and keep up with a guy, knowing full well he cannot catch him. It's like JT, don't waste your limited foot speed getting to somewhere where you can't reach a guy. Just backtrack and like be more efficient with your positioning. That's what I think the biggest difference is between like O'Reilly and JT. Because O'Reilly's almost just as slow. And yet
probably
you don't
slower.
really see him behind the play as much as you do JT. Now, and it's just because of positioning. And I think it's just choosing how you want to move around the ice. So that's the thing. That's the thing with JT. Like I haven't liked how he navigates the ice. I forget why I even brought
Oh,
this up now.
well,
Damn it.
especially against a team like Florida. Like, I don't know if it
Yes,
was
it's like
as
way
noticeable.
exposed.
Yeah, it was. I don't think it was as noticeable against Tampa. Maybe like
Yes and
I'm
no.
not gonna sit here and say like Tampa's got like they're completely like they're just knuckle draggers basically going up and down the ice because they're clearly not,
They're
right?
like us. They have some burners, but they've also got some
Some big
slow
boys,
trotting
slower
guys, right?
guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um so I think it was you were able to kind of patch up those cracks, I would say. But I think I think that's a really, really good point. Especially because it like if he's not being tasked with that type of role, let's just say if we're gonna look at John Tavares as an NHL character, when you're playing NHL and you see like at the bottom, it's like their energy meter, how it's going down. If you have slower, older guys, their bar goes down, let's just say twice as
They got like
fast
less
as,
endurance. Yeah.
yeah, the endurance bar. That's the word I was looking for. I completely forgot what it was called. Uh, so if you have guys that have, I don't know, let's just say hypothetically 90 endurance, and John's only got a 75 or an 80. Well, of course that like he's always gonna get lapped by them. And then by the time you're making like if he's going behind the net, like you said, by the time he's coming back around, then he's out of the play. Like you take like he's gone, right? You know what I mean? And that's I think why we start to say like, oh, John's kind of ghosting again. I really haven't noticed him. If
Wasted
John,
energy.
yes, exactly.
So
I think if John keeps his energy, maybe we see John on a counterattack. Maybe he's the one breaking up
Yeah.
the play in the neutral zone, and his added endurance can also then help get around defensemen who maybe are a little bit fleet of foot.
so
Yeah.
one thing that you guys have been doing recently that's keeping the defense energized, but obviously doing a little bit of more energy tax on the forwards is 11-7. Is this what you guys want to do for the rest of the series?
I think that's what
I
they're
think
forced
it's
to do
fine.
now.
I just look at it this way. Would you rather bring Zach Aston Reese in over any of Gio Liljegren, Hall, or Gustafson? Like you take any of those four, I think, over Zach Aston Reese. And that's less of a slight on Zach Aston Reese as it is just like a defenseman does more. They play special teams, they're doing all this stuff. Zach Aston Reese is solely a fourth liner for us. So it shifts some of the time on ice higher up the forward lineup. So I think
And
11-7 is definitely the way to go. I
and
brought
the
up the time on ice thing. I forgot about this. Brian, do you have something to add or
yeah, I was actually gonna go with that.
okay?
So the seventh guy technically was Giordano. Do you guys know his time
Yes,
on ice?
I do because I've got them all right here. Dave, is this the
So
one
am
that
I
you were
gonna
thinking
have to
of?
guess? Well, no,
I,
I was gonna say Justin Hall that played the most out of he
well, he
played the
did.
most on this
He
Yeah,
did,
team,
yeah.
right?
he played 21-22. Yeah, what do you think Mark Giordano's time on ice was?
Was he under 10?
Yes.
Wow.
9:52.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
like 10. Yeah, and it is surprising. And like I talked about with Mitch, 6 minutes of special teams time. Giordano was 3.5 minutes of special team time, a
So it's
minute
like
on the power play and
6
2:30 on the
minutes.
PK. Six
So
minutes at 5-on-5.
so
That's interesting.
with 9 minutes and 52 seconds of PT for Giordano, did you guys see anything that you guys wanted to call out? Because maybe that this was the fix in
So
the
he had
sense that
three giveaways, but I don't remember the giveaways being anything of
W-
consequence. I think you're
Was
right,
one
Brian.
of them the giveaway where was it not him who like tried to slap the puck down the ice and the stick just exploded on him and it kind of just went into the neutral zone?
That was that like ended the second, or I'm trying to remember when that was. It might have been the start of the
Maybe in the
third.
first.
Oh,
I don't remember.
I'm
Maybe
trying. Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking of. I
I'm
don't
just,
know,
I'm
but
just. I think he actually had a good game. Like I
yeah,
think he had
that's what
a
I was.
quiet game, right?
I think yeah. So as a defenseman, if you have an unnoticeable game, especially if you're not,
This is the
you
Justin
know,
Hall rule.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Unless you are like a top tier defenseman, at least offensively, if we don't hear your name, especially
probably a
in
good thing.
bad context,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. You're doing your job right.
I would even say like if your job is to transition the puck well, like that's when I need to hear your name. If
Mm,
you're Jake McCabe, Timothy Liljegren, Morgan Riley, TJ Brody, those are the puck movers, right? Getting the puck from the defensive zone to the or just past our blue line, via pass, not icing, right? That's when you want to hear their name. So Brian, I think you're right. I think the fix for Giordano might be just less time, right? I think that's not a bad
He's
idea.
it didn't click into me how old he was until I searched it
He's
up.
literally the oldest
he's
skater
the
in the
oldest
league.
skater.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
ridiculous because like doesn't it feel like yesterday he just won the Norris? This is a
honestly,
former
a little
Norris.
bit, right?
Yeah, this
Because
is a
that was
former
before
Norris winner.
Seattle season, which is
Yes.
2 years ago. What the hell, man? He's the oldest Norris winner ever, right? So,
Yeah.
okay, second least in time on ice for defense, Dave.
Well, if it's not
It's
it,
interesting, Dave.
I'm gonna say it's
This kind of shocks
Liljegren.
me.
Not Liljegren. No, Liljegren was
He was a big
fourth
pickup.
most.
Okay, so he's in the top four there. So that means somebody from the top four is coming out.
He was a big pickup. A really big pickup.
Was it McCabe?
Yes.
Huh.
13:55. So,
Hmm.
but I've seen people say like he had a bad game. I'm trying to remember the bad Jake McCabe moments, and they aren't really coming to mind too much.
I think with defensemen, especially if it's not like a noticeable giveaway, okay, like it adds into the bad game. But I think with defensemen in particular, like you have to be looking for it. Like you can obviously see when a forward is having a bad game, but you need to pick up on it a lot more to realize when a defenseman is having a bad game. And I guess like I listen. I'm not gonna say I like Jake McCabe. I like the physicality he
Better,
brings.
you're
I
stuck
like
with him.
well, listen. I still like. I would if that trade happens again. Like I think Kyle Dubas does it 10 out of 10 times. Like he was
Yes.
against Tampa. He was like I would say
He's one
pretty
of our
good.
better guys. I'd say he's top three. Like it was
Well, he
him,
was
Mo,
tasked.
and Shen.
He was tasked with the biggest challenges, right? Like he was tasked with shutting down. It was the Kucherov line, right? Um, yeah, I mean, I guess I could give him a pass. I would say,
Same.
like, okay, if he's dropping out for this game. So what I do want to see though from him is a much better, game 5, right? Like now you can only build from here. Like you can't have your worst games from here on out. If you're not having a great game, you have to somehow find a way to pull it through because the difference between you having a bad game and having a really good game could cost you and your team the season,
Season.
right?
Yeah, I will say that actually. So I do give McCabe the pass. If this is his bad game, okay. I don't think we've seen too many in the playoffs, and I think this is the first time we've seen it with reduced ice time. And I think this shows that the coaching staff felt that they had enough guys going last night to dial back his minutes and not feel exposed, right? Because he, like we said, like he's tasked with tough minutes, tough assignments. It's a big deal for them to say we can go without him playing those minutes tonight because we've got guys who can step in that role. So kudos to the coaching staff for trusting their other guys to step up like Lilligren, and B for actually like having the balls to do that, right? Like I do think that's a big thing there. As on the forward front, I forgot to bring this up. Forward, least amount of ice time.
It's Oh yeah, we forgot to mention this. Dave, who do you
Yeah,
think it is? Just one guess quickly, then we'll give it to you.
I don't know. Who wasn't that appealing? I'm gonna go off on a limb, either like Cal Yarncroke or Alex Kerfoot.
He was appealing. He got 1 assist. It's Michael Bunting.
Really?
yeah. So we only
Really?
played 11:48. That's less
Okay.
than Lafferty at 12:05. Who, dude? I thought Lafferty was like phenomenal last night. To be
Yeah. He's
honest,
had
I thought
back
he
to
was
back.
really good.
He's
Yes,
even say
he was.
even game
Wasn't he in the
2.
Radko tussle? Like, or no? Like he didn't fight Radko, but like he was one of the guys in that tussle. Like there was one point where his bucket off.
So
I don't
Yeah.
remember what it was for.
I sure
I
it was
think
him and not Sam Bennett because they're just bald. You
I
know what I
think
mean?
The Mr. Clean battle.
I do think that limiting Bunting's time is good for this specific reason. Florida's a
I
tough
thought he.
team, and they're
Yeah,
gonna want to throw hands, and that guy just needs a
I
leash.
I think we should give Bunting kudos for like keeping his temperament since the incident. I don't think we've even noticed him come close to exploding since then.
If
And
he was
I
on
think
the
we can say that he's been playing well since then.
if he was on
I'm
the ice for
surprised.
if he was on the ice for the literal last play of the game, something would have
Oh,
happened.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So I do think that
I know
limiting the time is good. You're
I
he
think
was
there's a
definitely
happier
itching to
medium
get
there.
out
I don't think
there.
he should be your. I don't think in a game where you're going 11-7, I don't think he's the guy whose ice time you should be taking. But once again, this is whose ice time
do
do
you
you
want to
take
take?
from
Everybody's been
instead? I
playing well.
guess the answer would have been Yarn Crow, but this is a guy who played 2 minutes special teams, minute on each. So he would be the candidate. Maybe Kerfoot, who played 15:46, but we know that Kerfoot
I'll
is
be
like
honest, I did not
Keith's
notice
son.
any of the 3 of them.
You're right.
Except
No, you're right.
Bunting
I'd
a
say
little bit,
Bunting I
but
noticed. Yeah, like even outside the penalty, like I feel like we
yeah,
noticed that he's got like jump, right? I
yeah.
don't think he's been unnoticeable really in any of the games since the incident. So if we have so there's the core four. I think the Keefe four or the Keefe quartet, who is it's Kerfoot,
Hall,
Yarn Crow,
Justin Hall.
Hall,
Yeah.
yeah, and maybe Camp. These are like these are Keefe's guys. Bless you,
Yeah.
Dave.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
these are Keefe's guys, and yeah, so he's got full trust in those guys.
Okay.
Yeah, Nola Chari 7 hits. Kudos to him. Ate a huge block off his hand and just kind of ate it and came back. Like what a monster Nola
That's
Chari is.
unsung hero Nola Chari. Like
Oh,
he gets in, he does his
great.
business, and like if he scores when he scores a goal, that's great. but I think he would just rather beat the shit out of people personally.
So
Beat people and also stand in front of pucks. Like I think that's what he likes more. It's like Mitch with assists. You know what I mean?
are there any other points you guys want to get across before we close out?
Off the top of my head, I think we've
Just
covered a lot.
Yes.
keep going, right? Like
Yeah.
now
Keep
you
going.
have the opportunity. You tasted your first win in the second round in 20 years, whatever it is, 18 years.
Let's see a
Okay.
repeat of last night, I guess.
This
Keep
is
going.
Just give me another boring game.
Yeah, man.
I'm only ever
And
gonna
then I
ask you
will be
guys.
I don't mind
physically
it.
enraged. I will be physically enraged if they win tomorrow night.
I
can't
hate
wait.
asking this question, but this is the way we have to close it. Score for next game.
3-2 Toronto.
Damn.
Regulation.
Yeah.
I did it
I
steal it from you. Damn, we can be in agreement on this one. We can.
I'll hedge your bet. No, I'll jump
Okay.
in on your bet
Okay.
there. I say
Okay.
3-2, but feeling overtime again. I feel an overtime game.
No, man.
Okay, so I got 3-2 regulation. You got 3-2 OT. Brian, you're the neutral.
I
You're
can't do
supposed to
OT.
love.
I
But
can't do OT anymore, man.
Brian,
There's just
neutral
so
watching
many this
overtime
playoff.
is the best.
This
Yeah.
It's the
playoffs.
best.
This playoffs. It's been so much,
But
so
dude,
much
it's not
OT.
like we're not the West Coast games. Like this isn't the Oilers going overtime.
Yeah, but like
right?
then,
Yeah.
but I want to stay up for the Oilers games. That's the problem. Like
Oh, okay, I
Wow.
know. Okay,
Okay.
that's fair. That's fair.
Right. Another thing to note, for the Leafs, every game, I believe, except for game 2 where they lost by 2 goals, has been decided by only
OT.
1 goal. No, it's not OT,
Oh, one
but
goal,
1
okay.
goal. So the chances of them staying relatively close until the end, I think,
Is
are
high.
just statistically high. Yeah.
I'm gonna say 4-2 Florida. Season ends next game.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Make us all
Brian is
cry.
not invited to the podcast.
Okay. Shout out to Razor NHLShop.ca if you want your Mitch Marner jersey. Fubo TV. You can watch Hockey Night in Canada. You can watch the Leafs' last game of the season there.
Or potential last game.
Potential last game.
I was
Well,
gonna shout out a different jersey option. I don't think Brian wants to say it though.
oh no! We're not saying that. No, that didn't happen. But the lottery is still coming soon. But
I didn't get
anyway.
what it was for a second.
But anyway.
Yeah, shout out
anyway.
to Chicago.
Oh
For no
God.
reason. For no
Anyway,
reason.
also Dave, first like for watching like the Leafs last game of the season, it's gonna be on Fubo TV regardless. Like even if they win the cup, it's still the last game of the season. You know that.
No, but it's a potential last game of the season because it
That's
could
true.
be
That's
their
true.
last game,
And
or it
hey,
could also go another game.
That's
why'd
true.
you guys think I was gonna say Bedard Chicago? I was gonna say Gary Bettman Chicago. Duh,
Oh,
come
yeah.
on. Come on.
Oh man, big
Anyway.
the fix is in. That's all I know. It's
Anyway.
in Washington.
Anyway, we're gonna end it there. Thank you, Les, for listening, and we'll wrap it up there.